out. We have great buyer demand, but we don't have the inventory. Okay, so 1.6 months of absorption rate versus 3.2 last year. Those are going to really affect our ability to be able to sell, because there's a humongous lack of inventory out there. So what we're going to share with you guys are those charts that you can now use for your buyers and sellers. So I'm going to share my screen so I can go over these with you. These will be attached to the recording link that we send out to everybody. So you will have these available to you. Here we go, share screen. That's my dog. I guarantee you the mailman will come while we're doing this. It'd be great. Okay, so listing inventory. This is the first one I'm going to show everybody. Is listing inventory for the month of May. Now this is for Yes MLS. Okay, we have 10,000 homes that were on the market this May, as opposed to last May where we were somewhere around 15 in the May before in 2018. So here's the numbers. So it shows you what the inventory is doing. The next one I'm going to show you guys is supply, right? So properties for sale at the end of month versus properties under contract. So what is it showing us? It's showing us supply continuing to decrease, May 18, May 19, May 20. Okay, there's that big decrease. But what are you seeing in under contract? You're actually seeing that number start to increase. So under contract properties are increasing. So what are we running into? Supply and demand, right? Supply and demand. Prices are increasing, inventory is decreasing. This goes over new listings that hit the market. We had 3,291 new listings hit in May of 2020. That number was 4,700, ranged in the 4,700s in 18 and 19. And then the last slide, oh no, we have two more. Sold price versus median price. So it shows you how the prices have been increasing over the last 3 years, year over year. And I think there was one on here too I might have missed that showed, oh, days solds. Okay, the bottoms have days on market and everything too. So I did not show you guys those. I'll go backwards. So on the bottom of all these, you have your supply data in chart and graph form.
Nice.
Let me find average days on the market. So average days on the market have gone from about 65 down to about 48. So it just shows you the difference. So what is that telling us? What is that telling us? Same thing I've been saying now for the last couple months. Very low supply, very high demand. Supply and demand. When you have low supply, high demand, it raises prices. You know, when you have low interest rates, you have great buyer demand. We have tons of buyers out there. I'm hearing stories from you guys where buyers are waiting in line to purchase homes. But these are now conversations that I want you to have with your sellers. And you know, Alex just jumped on. We had this talk on his office meeting yesterday. And Mark, is it okay if I jump around a little bit on our agenda?
Right ahead. I got it.
So the conversation I want you guys to have is, all right, how do we now think a little bit differently about conversations with our sellers? What are some of the challenges we're facing with conversations with our sellers? Well, one of the big ones that we're running into is, hey, listen, I want to sell my house, but I've got nowhere to go. I'm afraid if I sell my house in 24 hours, where am I going to go? Like, how am I going to find another house? I mean, I see a lot of head shaking. I know we've had that conversation. I know you've had that conversation with your sellers. So there's some different ways we can look at listing properties, and there's some different options that we have to think differently about, you know, some of those objections. So the first one I'll start with is a reverse contingency or concurrency. And I want you to think about this a little bit. We have these for buyers, right? Hey, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want to buy your house. However, I need to sell mine first, and I will buy it for this price if you sell it to me, and you let me have this amount of days to sell that home. Why can't we be having those same conversations with our sellers that are running into those objections? So say, listen, I'm going to put this home on the market. I'm going to attract a bunch of buyers. I'm going to get it under contract. But Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I need at least 30 to 45 days, maybe 60 days, that you'll give me to be able to buy a house. And if I find a house in those 60 days or those 45 days, then guess what? I'm going to sell you this property at this price. The buyer demand is out there right now where that conversation is supported. On the other side, on contingencies and concurrencies, I think from the buyer side, you guys see the problem, right? Why would a seller accept a contingency or concurrency on a buyer side if there's 20 other offers on the property, right? That's not going to be very attractive. So think smart about some of those conversations and different ways to have those conversations with your seller. And one of the reasons I wanted to have Paul on, I can see Paul's joining us with us as well too, is the other conversation that we could be having. So the put your home on the market and sell before you buy. That's one conversation. But there's another conversation we can have if they're in the financial position, and that is the buy before you sell conversation. Now, most people, they may qualify to be able to buy before they sell, but why do they not want to do that? They don't want to do that because they're going to be buying a house with a very low down payment. They're going to be financing a larger amount of debt on that property because they can't use the equity from their current house to put it in their secondary house. And they don't want that extremely high mortgage payment. Okay. And we're very fortunate with Your Home Financial that we got a product called recasting. And that's going to solve your problem in that situation, because essentially what recasting is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to buy a house, go under contract, even close on that property with a small down payment, be able to sell your current house, and then take the equity of that current house and apply it towards the principal of your new house while keeping the same rate and getting your payment down to a more reasonable level. If you had a $2,000 payment and you put $60,000 down, it could go down to $1,500. I don't know the math, but that's how it works in theory. So Paul, is there anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. And thanks, Mark, for having me join the call today. So the two keys with recasting is, as Jeff mentioned, it allows somebody to take the equity they have once they sell their home, put that down on the new property, and will recalculate the payment based on the new balance. The key is they stay at the same interest rate. So if they do something in a month, 6 months, a year, if they're locked into a 3% interest rate, that's where we'll recalculate their payment based on that rate. They do, as Jeff mentioned, they do have to come in with a minimum of 5% down. So a conventional loan, 5% down. And then they do have to qualify, their debt to income ratios do have to qualify holding both payments initially. We're using these programs quite a bit. As I mentioned to Jeff earlier today, probably 2 to 3 times a week, our team is utilizing the recasting option on a customer's mortgage. We've done a lot of success stories in Strongsville. I had a couple that had their house almost paid for free and clear with the current market conditions. Obviously, they were nervous. They didn't know when they were going to be able to find something. So they utilized the recasting option. They ended up selling their house within a few days. And they only had to utilize about a week's worth of time, and then they recasted their mortgage. So it gives people the confidence to end up with their low monthly payment after they sell their house. A lot of times people don't even need to use it because things are selling so quickly, but it's just a great way to get somebody into a house and then again, utilize that equity they have once they sell it. So does anybody have any questions on the recasting program?
I actually used it when I sold my house too. I mean,
Yeah, Jeff, you used it last year.
Yep. Fantastic. Saved me a ton of money. So was somebody asking a question that I cut off?
Oh, sorry. Hey, Jeff
Hey,
and Paul. Yeah, hi. Hey, I love this program. I was actually used it to help educate a buyer's agent, and they ended up being able to buy the house that I had listed. But anyway, and so it's kind of funny that a lot of people don't really know about it, or a lot of other agents maybe, but
Sure.
Is there a certain amount? Does it have to be $10,000 or more? And then how much does it cost to recast?
Great. It's $300, it's a flat fee of $300. It's got to be $10,000 or more. And they could do that as many times over the life of the loan as they want. So there's no limit. So great question. And again, it takes about 30 days. They don't have to provide pay stubs, bank statements. It's as simple as taking that $10,000 plus the $300 fee, mailing a check in to us. 30 days, they'll recalculate that payment. So it's a very simple process. But you're right, a lot of agents aren't aware of it. And we have some agents in our company that are really utilizing this program. In Strongsville, Ron Shorts, we did one, Bill Warwood. I did one recently for another customer. So it's a great program to give the seller confidence that they're going to be able to achieve that low payment after closing.
Yeah, I have somebody using it now too on a sale, and yeah, it's a great benefit.
It really is. Yep. And they stay at that same interest rate. I always tell people, and I had a couple that was, looking to retire. So they said, Paul, down the road, we'd like to put a large sum of money down to reduce our monthly expenses. And this worked out perfect for them, because they're going to be on a fixed income. They wanted to cut their house payment in half, and they did the recasting option. So it's just a feature to our conventional loan program. On FHA and VA, we can't guarantee that we're going to service those loans. We do have to sell off a percentage. So that's why we can't put together any formal flyers to this. But on a conventional loan, we retain the servicing so we can guarantee they can recast down the road. Also, Jeff, I just wanted to mention real quick, as we start getting into these markets and people are having to bid more for these houses, take a look at us for a second opinion for debt to income ratios. I know my competitors, Third Fed's very conservative on their debt to income that they allow people to carry. On a conventional loan, we do not have a max DTI. So as long as it gets through Fannie Mae's automated system as an approve eligible, we can get an approval at a 50% back-end debt ratio. FHA, we can push 50%, but they do need 2 months PITI. So they have to have 2 months of their house payment in reserves after closing for FHA and VA. But if you get somebody that's looking at a $150,000 house, they're approved with a lender and they can't get qualified for more, give them a second opinion and we can take a look at it, no cost, and see if I can get them to maybe 160 or 170 to get them in more of a home they really want to purchase. Especially with rates being lower, their payments are going to be about the same.
Perfect. Perfect.
Leads me to rates real quick, Jeff. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rates, we're seeing pretty flat over the last month. We have dipped into that low 3.1 range on a 30-year fixed program. Again, that guys, that's with good credit. Typically loan amounts at about 150 or higher. And then your 15-year programs are right around 2.7, 2.8 on a fixed rate.
Is that par?
What, Jackie?
I'm sorry, that's par, 3 1/8?
3.125 on a 30-year fixed.
Wow, okay.
And again, that's with good credit. So it's just like anything else we buy, cars, credit cards, it's all based on credit scores. But again, unbelievable market in terms of rates. FHA, again, still around that low 3% range with people with good credit scores.
Perfect. 2 questions that came up. Alex, you want to explain that, the question you put in the chat?
Yep. There's a product that's out there that in order to handle multiple offers, they're able, and I don't know what they do, Paul, so you'll have to find out, but
Sure.
They basically provide a marketing piece, and then it states that, and they'll call the listing agent afterwards, where they remove the financing contingency from the purchase agreement. So I don't know if that's a full approval right out of the gate, but it's, they market it as good as cash. Put yourself in a position of strength with cash buyers by removing your loan contingency. I think I sent that to you at one point. I talked to Lori about it, but I think it would be a great way to, separate, our offer from other multiple offers if we're removing that contingency.
Yeah, it's a great program. We have, and I'd like to check because it'd be interesting to see the fine print. because it'd be hard to believe if it actually underappraised that they're still going to back that loan, or if there's a
Well,
title.
no, I know, and if it doesn't appraise, so the house is the only contingency that remains. It's condition and valuation.
Okay. Yeah. So we have day one certainty, Alex, which is the same thing. So what we do is we'll collect their pay stubs, bank statements up front, or if they're part of the work number, if they work for a large company, let's say the Cleveland Clinic, we could verify income, we could verify assets to have a complete approval based on just title and appraisal. That's it.
I think it's the way we market it. We have to market it correctly so it's embraced by the list agents.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because I mean, they literally show in the purchase agreement what you're supposed to write, as well as they have a nice little piece on it.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Because I would love to promote that heavily within my office, you know, and it's just something that I'm just trying to help my agents, you know, combat, you know, 8 multiple offers with a buyer, or 5 multiple offers with a buyer. And, you know, all these things we're talking about are great. So I'd love to have something that I can use that, you know, when a list agent looks at it, then he gets a phone call from Lori or from you and says, hey, they're good to go. This is good as cash. The only thing that will be a contingency is the house valuation and condition.
I agree 100%. Anything we could do to get leverage or get the edge on another buyer, that having a complete approval going into with an offer, low seller concessions. I know I see, again, it comes across my email. I get at least a handful a day. You know, these mortgage brokers, mortgage companies that have high cost. So if we could couple that with a full approval, we only need, let's say, $3,500 in closing costs on a $150,000 property. And then I always piggyback off of Russell. You know, we're part of Russell. You know, obviously we have a great reputation in the community and they trust us. So when they find out that we're part of Russell, that we work in-house, you know, they seem to say, okay, hey, that sounds great. You know, obviously Alex wouldn't trust, you know, just anybody. So with you being part of the office and part of Russell, that makes, when I talk to a listing agent, that usually makes people feel pretty confident. You know, I tell them that
in-house lender. Yeah, absolutely. In-house lenders. You know, if I'm dealing with another in-house lender, I'm like, yeah, it's probably going to be solid. You know what I mean? So yeah. I mean, I'll do my due diligence, but I'm already have a feeling of comfort right away.
Sure. Absolutely.
And you know what, let's work together, see if we can market that a different way. I think that's a great idea, Alex, because I mean, it's pretty much the same product. One other question too, refis, or I'm sorry, equity lines, Paul, do we do equity lines?
We do not do standalone equity lines. So if somebody just wants to do an equity line to put an addition on their property, we do not. We do have a program on a purchase side where we'll do a split mortgage. So as you guys remember, years ago, we used to do a lot of 80-20s. That's not coming back, but we do have an 80% first and a 10% second. So we will do a purchase money second, but that's on the purchase side, Jeff. So we do not do just a standalone equity product. So
Sounds good. And then 2 other quick questions. Can we finance a home in Florida?
Yes, we have 2 loan officers that are licensed in Florida. So if anybody wants to shoot me an email, I could either Lori Taylor or Austin Connor in our Amherst office. They're both licensed in Florida.
Perfect. And then the last one, what happens if there's a job loss and they now can't be financed? So I'm sure that's something you're running into a lot right now, Paul.
Yes. Yeah, it comes up every day. So they do have to be back to work, and we do have to have at least two pay stubs. So 30 days worth of pay stubs. Else we wouldn't be able to finance them at this point. If there's a co-borrower on the loan, what we're doing is looking at to see if they qualify based on the individual's income. But if it's somebody that's just been laid off and they're purchasing it by themselves, we would not be able to qualify them until they go back to work.
Perfect.
Yep.
One other thing I wanted
go ahead, Alex.
Not only are we talking about, you know, the reverse contingency concurrency, or, you know, buy before you sell, but remember too, a lot of times when we go in, we have an idea of what needs to be done to a house. You know, like we make a list of all the things that they need to do to prepare it. You can probably forego a lot of that stuff. You know, I mean, right now I think people will embrace some issues in a home they may not have normally embraced in a different market. So remember that too. You're going to have to kind of kind of couch that and figure out where's the happy medium that's still going to get them the highest return without having to spend money on the home.
Yeah, it may not have to be staged perfectly and painted in every little nook and cranny. And I mean, you know what I mean? There's a very high demand. I agree with you. Last question too, Paul, getting good questions here. Marty was asking about rehab loans.
Yeah, as of when everything started here in mid-March, we tabled that right now, like most lenders. So Marty, that's on hold. I'll let everybody know. Hopefully in the next 45 days, we'll start to see some of that stuff come back, but we're not doing the FHA 203K renovation loans at this time or any conventional renovation. So, but we're hearing maybe later this summer that coming back into play. So I'll keep everyone posted on that.
Good. Well, good questions, everybody. Paul, I appreciate you. Thanks for hopping on with us. You're welcome to stay on. And if not, I know you're a busy guy too. So don't, you're not going to hurt our feelings, but thank you for the advice and the expertise, my friend.
Great.
Thanks, Paul,
for your support. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Paul. All right. So on the same topic, listings. Somebody give me a good listing win, something exciting that happened this week. And I will call on you.
I
Somebody
just
give me a good one.
texted Mark. I texted Mark that I have one coming live today around the corner from him. Well, actually, I'm not sure where you're at in Westlake, but Settlers Reserve is a really nice listing. It's on a cul-de-sac street.
Good.
Huge circular driveway. I was just putting it together. Coles Post Run for 2,900 square feet. Only $369. Great house. If you have any buyers, bring them.
That should sell in about 45 seconds. So,
I
congratulations.
was actually listening to you guys, Jeff, and I'm like, part of me wants to go higher even, but we got the appraisals to worry about too. But yeah,
we still do have appraisals we got to get through. But we price.
I add 10,000 every time I come up with my comps.
It's crazy.
I mean, that's my rule of thumb now. I mean, I look at my comps and I just add 10 grand because I'm always, I'm low. I mean, if I don't, so, I mean, that's just, you do your homework.
I am a little concerned because they're also net a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm at 127 a square and its average is 123. But I was thinking the same thing because I'm still kind of new at this and I don't want to leave any money at the table. But this market is crazy. I don't know.
It really is. And you know what? It's funny. Even if you underprice it a little bit, what does the market do?
Way over. Look at Lakewood.
And I'm always a fan, even in a hot market.
Yes, I agree.
It's for like 89 to 90, or I'm sorry, 98 to 99% of value. Price it competitively because a lot of times it soars. You get 15.
God, I hate those the 20 multiple offers. You mean, Jeff?
Yeah.
That's what happened in Lakewood last year.
It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. But what I'm saying, guys, is have different listing conversations. We know the challenges that listers are facing right now, that sellers are facing right now. And most of them are buying somewhere else. And the last thing I'll say on listings, and then I'm turning it over to Mark. I promise, Mark, I'm talking too much. I apologize. The last thing I want to say about listings is how much fun are you guys having running buyers right now?
I don't do it.
Sandy, what'd you say?
Having fun. It's
not fun. Not fun? No, it's not fun right now because what you're doing is you're writing 20 offers, you're writing 15 offers. You're in crazy competition. The home hits the market. It's sold within 12 hours in some cases. It's crazy competitive and it burns you out. Okay. I'm not saying don't run buyers. We have to run buyers. Everybody understands we have to run buyers. I get that. But that's not where you need to spend your time finding new business, right? Paying money for Zillow leads right now, or prospecting just for buyer leads does not make a lot of sense. So what can you be doing now to focus on finding your business on the other side? If you had 80% of your business right now that was listings and 20% of them was buyers, you'd be loving your real estate career right now. You would be loving why? Because your sellers are very, very happy with you. You're selling properties way overpriced. You're making money hand over fist. All those things are great. If you're the other way and it's 80% buyers and 20% listings, it's not very fun right now.
You're not having a vacation. No vacation for you.
No vacation for you. No vacation for you.
I mean, it's not going to happen.
When I was selling, I remember going on vacation once. I had 4 listings and I sold 2 of them on vacation sitting on a beach. And I'm like, this is nice. I like this, right? And that was before Dotloop. So I had to like fax stuff, and scan. It was crazy, but it was still fantastic. So, we got to focus on hunting the business that we want to get. Okay. And we do that. Where does listing leads come from? Right? Where that doesn't come from Zillow, doesn't come from realtor.com. It comes from your sphere of influence. It comes from your past clients. It comes from the people that you've built a business with over many, many years doing this and reaching out to them, setting up your touch points. How many of you guys on this call have a touch point system set up? Alex and I were talking about this yesterday. Where you're touching your clients 10 times a year, 8 times a year. You guys have that set up. How are they remembering you? And all these things. Are you doing the reach out calls? Are you doing the drop offs? Rich Gannon was on here talking about the Girl Scout cookie drop offs, and he got 2 listings from that the other day. I've heard people do the 4th of July, the flags. Hey, just wanted to drop off this flag and wish you have a happy 4th of July, that kind of stuff. That stuff pays dividends. One, it's showing the human side of real estate, but you'd be surprised on what kind of impact those things make. You're gonna find listings if you farm your sphere, okay? And you farm your past clients. Mark, what do you think about that, sir? I'm gonna shut up.
What he said. Quite honestly, none of this is really rocket science for what we're sharing with you. There's just because of the state of the art, there's a call to urgency to actually implement these things. So one thing that we had discussion about previous was losing a multiple offer situation. How many people have been running buyers and lost in a multiple offer situation? Probably pretty much everyone that's running buyers. So what happens when 123 Main Street gets sold and you lose in a multiple offer? Your client already knows they want to live in the neighborhood. They already know that that's where they want to be. They've already gone through the process of staying up all night and sweating whether or not their offer will be, accepted. And then it isn't, and then you have to start over. Well, starting over then means that you have to start looking for listings, running to that competition, hoping that you get your offer in before and hope it gets accepted. What about taking the 123 Main Street that you lost in a multiple offer and walking next door to 456 Main Street and say, I have a buyer that wants to live in this neighborhood right now. Are you interested in selling your home? And interest rates are low, and we have recasting, and we can get you into a new place. So now you're actually pitching to your listing all the benefits of being a buyer to get your buyer into that listing. So if you followed me through all that, you kind of did a little bit of reverse psychology. Better than that, if you can actually have somebody that you can have a conversation with that says, no, I'm good. We're going to stay in this house forevermore. That's great. Do you know anybody else in this neighborhood that would be interested in selling because my clients really want to live here?
Yes.
So proactive. Now,
So Mark, we had a breakthrough yesterday on Alex's call. Alex, You want to talk about Carol real quick?
Yeah, Carol basically, I'm going to come back here. Carol, she had a buyer that wanted to live in a specific neighborhood. So she put up signs that says, I have a buyer that would like to live in your neighborhood. And she put her phone number on there, and she put, I think, 4 of them in the neighborhood, and she got a call and ended up selling them a house.
Yeah.
So she put some signs right up. You got to do some things that are a little unconventional right now.
Yeah, and I thought that was brilliant. I really did. It's such a cool idea. And or Facebook user groups. Every community's got a Facebook user group, right? Put the put the name writer, I'm sorry, put the ad. I've got 4 buyers looking for homes in this neighborhood, and post that on the Facebook user group. If you're looking to sell or thinking about selling, feel free to let me know. I've got ready, willing, and able buyers in this neighborhood looking currently right now.
Take all those buyers we have right now.
We can stop and check it out, that's for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Mark, I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going, but
No, you're good. If you have friends in neighborhoods, so somebody wants to live in a particular neighborhood and there's literally no inventory whatsoever, like there's nothing wrong with calling your friends and not necessarily wanting to sell their house, but anybody else in the area that you think might want to sell their house, let them direct you toward that lead. If it's a past client, even better. If you had a great experience with a past client, now that person may actually follow up on the reach out to one of their neighbors and say, hey, you want to work with Alex? He's an amazing agent. He did a great job for us. Maybe you really need to take a listen to hear what he has to say. Let them be your promotion department. Guess what, folks? When you're doing all those activities, you're not competing with other agents. You're actually originating the business yourself. You're providing value to the seller and the buyer because of low inventory. You just kind of have to think outside of the box when it comes to this kind of thing. And you might be astounded by the results. Like, use your sphere, use the people that you know on the inside, so you're not constantly running buyers and writing offers and losing in multiple offers. So that's kind of the concept that we've kind of discussed at length. It's a little bit more of an advantage to you when you're out there running your buyers and or trying to pick up listings. Obviously, you control the market when you have listings. Much to Jeff's point, it's great to be sitting by the pool or the beach and selling a couple houses. For those of us that have done that, that feels really, really good. But in this low inventory market, you have to perpetuate that in a different way. So with all the trainings that we're doing, we're always trying to innovate so that we can kind of adjust to the market that is fortunately already strong and buyer demand is high. So your conventional things, if they're not working, might have to change it up a little bit, might have to do something that you're a little uncomfortable with, might have to try something that you've never tried before to see if you get results. That being the case, please share that with us on this forum so that we all can grow through your experience, because there's benefits to all of this input as long as things remain in compliance. If Bob is on the call, I got your back. But there's things that you can do to try to kind of overcome some of these challenges that we're currently facing. So that's
perfect. That's great, Mark. That's great. And Sandy asked a question, and this is a very good question, very timely, Sandy. I appreciate you bringing it up. What's our company policy on pocket listings? Okay. So NAR came out with clear cooperation. I think most everybody's heard about this now through the MLS. So it means that NAR has mandated that as soon as we start marketing a property, okay, it has to go in the MLS within 24 hours, 24 business hours. As soon as we start marketing the property, it has to go in the MLS. Now that's mandated for every real estate firm across the country. It went into effect May 1st. And yes, MLS and Firelands both now have that rule in place. Now, how can we notify ourselves about listings in each other's offices that are coming up? You use your Facebook user group for your office. Alex came up with a really good email message that's going out to all his office, what's coming up. That doesn't mean you're able to show that property before anybody else can get in there. It doesn't mean that you're able to give yourself a competitive advantage, but basically you know that that listing is coming. It's not incoming soon. We still have the coming soon in the MLS, which is 14 days, that it's still allowable. It can't be shown during those 14 days. And guys, if it is, it's $1,000 fine. We're talking crazy money here, okay? So we've got to comply, but that doesn't mean we can't educate ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? If we're doing the fiduciary duty of our sellers, we need to expose that listing to the market. And I still have a firm belief it's the right thing to do with your sellers. I don't want us being greedy, okay, where we're just saying, let's, double side, because there's companies out there with that philosophy. Very big companies out there with that philosophy. But it doesn't mean that as a group, we can't allow ourselves to see what the inventory is coming. So you say, oh, I got a buyer for, Mark's 1234 Main Street. It's coming in a week. Well, that's great. Mark, let me know the day you're putting it in and I'll go show it, because I want to be, one of the first in line when it's available to be shown. There's nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. And in fact, as a company, it's a very smart thing to do because we're helping each other out. However, we're still complying with our fiduciary to our clients. And that's what I believe in 100%. You still need to expose it. I'm not a big fan of not exposing it to the market because, hey, listen, what are we here to do? We're here to get top dollar for our sellers, right? Let's help each other out if we've got buyers, but we got to get top dollar for our sellers, and that's most important. Another question came up. Can we show pictures, Jackie? Absolutely. Yes, you can. You can show pictures. That's not a
do it
problem.
on. I couldn't get my people to do it, but
Yeah,
the business Facebook page. I mean, you could just fire stuff up as you get them. And
Yep.
everybody would know about them ahead of time.
I agree, Alex. I agree with you 100%. Sandy,
Yeah.
you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, Jeff. Alex,
That's
I
okay.
agree with you. I was just going to say, I don't feel like, I don't know the answer to this, but I'll just put it out there. Like, I don't feel like Russell's effectively using the Facebook pages
We're
because,
not.
And
I feel like we're missing an opportunity to bring, fresh things to our buyers and sort of put us, to give us that edge that, hey, I know this one's coming up in a week. We're losing a big advantage. And I don't know the answer to this, but I feel like we have the different Facebook groups. Should we just have one so that we can all see? Like, I don't know. What do you think?
We've talked about it. So the Sandy, and you bring up a great point. And I'm glad you're raising this. Okay. And I know, unfortunately, with everybody on this call, I'm sort of preaching to the choir, right? The Facebook groups have a couple different values, right? You could share listings, right? So we see what's coming up. You can ask questions to other agents, marketing
providers,
marketing
too.
questions. Yep, just different information that they may have, or different strategies that you guys can share. So it is important, I feel, that we still have them as an office level. But doing a two-prong approach where we do have just one, and we have one Facebook user group for just Russell, but it's never been highly promoted to get agents to sign up. But Sandy, you bring up a great point. And if that's going to be our median, to share that information, maybe it is something that we should be putting a focus on a company level. You bring up a very good point, Sandy.
Yeah, I feel really frustrated with it. I do try to post, but then someone has to approve it. So then that it doesn't get put through. And I just kind of feel like I'm wasting my time. But I think, I'm frustrated with the other companies that are getting those listings and showing them. Like I 2 hours after it hit the market. But man, I'd like to have that. I would like to bring that advantage to my buyers, because my buyers sometimes are saying, hey, should I hear that, HH has this, they can get me the house I need better than anybody else because they have, these pocket listings or whatever they're calling them. I want to be competitive with that.
Exactly. And the good news is that was a bigger problem. It's still a problem. Sandy.
Yeah,
It's still
it
a
is.
huge problem.
You still
but
have
it
the
was
ad on.
Yeah. Especially in Hudson right now.
Sure. But it was a huge problem before Clear Cooperation.
Yeah.
Because there was issues where different, and all across different companies, multiple listing agreements were signed, and when things were being put in the MLS, and certain things were only being put in the MLS when it was convenient. And
Right.
cooperation is the whole reason we have MLS, and we got to protect that cooperation. But if we as a company did a better job sharing on a unique platform, I think
Yes.
that, Sandy, we got a leadership meeting tomorrow. That's going to be one of our topics of discussion.
Right.
I think that's a great idea from a, from an office level, but also from a company level.
Yeah, I think can we use that? How are we setting ourselves apart? We have 650 agents. Like, that should be an easy thing for us right now, I think.
Yeah, I think it's something we can implement pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean,
I
not
get it.
easy. I don't mean to implement, but easy communication agent to agent.
Sure. And I value that, Sandy. I think that's some great input. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Let me make sure we got no other questions before we move on. Nope. Okay. So Paul, what do we got? Or Mark, what do we got left to go over?
So I think we're down to just the launch dates. So launch is tonight. So this is going to be our second launch via Zoom. Chris was kind enough to send out a company email to everybody with the links, and it is recurring. So I'm going to invite every single one of you to join us. Tonight we're going over the purchase agreement, which is also really great for brand new agents to keep them out of real estate jail. Plus for all of our experienced agents, if there's any changes, there's going to be up to the minute what those changes look like. If you haven't written an offer in a while, it would be good to know exactly what that looks like. Everything is pulled currently from .loop so that we're sure that we're not using any old forms. So it isn't the most exciting, yet it's very, very informative. Day 2 of launch, Jeff is also going to visit with us to do a company address to get better acquainted with some of our newer agents. So I encourage you to do that as well. And then we'll be moving forward through the rest of launch for our first round on Zoom. So far it's working out well. Knock on wood, we don't have any technical problems or issues, but we've had great participation. It's been highly efficient. And I think because we've all gotten so well versed with Zoom, it's making it a little bit easier to get in those meetings and get out without that drive time for right now. So if that's something that appeals to you, I encourage you to make your way in today at 6:30.
I appreciate it, Mark. You're doing a great job with those. Now, one more thing too I want to address. I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Earnest Money. Remember, for those of you who are on the call or listen to it, we do now have a new virtual Earnest Money platform. So I'm hoping by Thursday, latest by Friday, that we're going to be able to roll this out. I'll do a bomb video with how to go through the process of making this work. But essentially, if you weren't on the call before, it's a company called Payload, and Earnestly is the platform. And what it allows you to do is to send your client to russellrealty.com, and they can go under resources. There's a link there where they can click on a site and put in there, and it's very secure. It's the same security that all your banks are using. Okay, so it's very, very secure. They put in their debit card information or bank routing card information. Okay, so it's not credit card. You can't pay Earnest Money with a credit card. And there's a $7 fee, and it goes directly into our trust account. So it's a fee that's being paid through or being paid to Payload. That's the fee to use the product. But it's an easy way to get your clients to pay for that earnest money, or to collect that earnest money without you having to go out and get the check. So, we're going to have some marketing around it that you'll be able to share with your clients. Adoption rate has been fantastic around the country. What I don't want everybody doing, though, what makes me concerned is security. So as easy as it is for you to share that link with your client, that can also create spamming issues and issues with foul play. If somebody has hacked into your email and is watching your emails, they could be sending some false links. So what we're going to be encouraging everybody to do, and we're going to have documentation through .loop, is share a form with that information on it through .loop that tells them where to go, and have them just log in directly. It is real important. It's a great tool that I think can be very convenient for all of us. That $7 fee is paid by the buyer. It's not paid by us. It's not paid by you. So it is a convenience charge if the buyer wants to do that. But my big concern on it is security, making sure that we don't run into problems and issues with anything being hacked. So, or just monitored, and a separate link, wire fraud type of stuff that we've been talking about. So that will be coming towards you guys at the end of the week. We're excited about it. A couple more questions. Have the new listing presentation with the new logo been updated? It's all over to Cloud CMA right now. They got a 2-week turnaround time. It's horrible. So that should be coming out very, very, very soon for everybody. Looking forward to launch. Last meeting was great. That's awesome. Thank you for the input. Mark, did you say you're doing launch in the office tonight? No, we are not allowing yet. Okay, it's coming. You know, we're all getting back to a little bit more normalcy, but we're not doing it as an in-office event yet. Hopefully that'll be coming very, very shortly, but not yet. Yes, it is 6:30, Jackie. Do we have a copy for our records? Janet, what are you referring to? Janet, you still there?
She's still muted.
Oh, Janet, you're muted.
Jeff, can you unmute her?
It says asked to
I got it. I got it. Finally found it. I was wondering about the how you were talking about doing the earnest money, how they were doing it through that. How do we get a copy for us? You know how we have
how do you get a copy that the earnest money was paid, Janet?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're going to get an email. So what they're doing is they're going to pick you. Do me a favor, mute again because we got some background noise. But what they do is they pick you as an agent from a list when they go in, okay, and pay that earnest money. So all your emails are loaded in that system, and you'll get a verification email as well too, letting you know that that earnest money was collected. So it's very intuitive. I'm excited about this. I've been talking to other brokers that have been doing this, and they've got almost a 50% adoption rate over, you know, like a month. So it should be pretty awesome, which is great. Okay, Mark, anything else, sir?
I think we covered everything today.
That was we got through a lot in a short amount of time. So you know, I think that was great. Questions, comments, anything we can help you guys with before we break today? Nothing? Hey, I appreciate every one of you being on and spending some time with us this morning. We really do enjoy these. And let me ask the group a question. And I could see some faces here, or if you want to put in the chat real quick before we leave. Do you guys like these on a weekly basis, or would you like to see these every 2 weeks? I would just love some feedback on that. I want to make sure we're not overdoing it, but I want to make sure that we're still meeting everybody's needs. So, you know, if you maybe just put either 1 or 2 in the chat for me, you know, we can monitor that, you know, every week or every other week, whatever. And that way we can, you know, just take that information into consideration as we move forward. Good news, I'm trying to get, and if this works, I haven't even told Mark this yet. Geez, oh man, I'm behind the curve. I'm trying to line Dan Elzer up for our next meeting. So we can do a Zoom meeting and actually have Dan on the call with us. So hopefully that will be next week. I'm still working out some details on that. But once again, we appreciate you, and we thank you. And we will see sounded like ET, didn't it? Hopefully we'll see you all next week. Okay. God bless. See you.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I gotta tell you, my husband was washing somebody's windows on the outside, one of my regulars.
Yeah.
Just the exterior, I thought I'll do it, you know, it's not much. And sure enough, I got a listing from her, her parents in the nursing home. That's that one in Lorraine. And
oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I thought that's like, it cost me $90 to do that. And because I still have to pay my husband.
Yeah, hey.
But I didn't even think of that. So now I'm starting to do that for a lot of my clients that I